This video is for educational and entertainment use only. The views in this video do not necessarily represent the views or life of Marlon Dixon.
Welcome back to Duffle LO to Sit Down, you guys. And last video, what we talked about was how Russia believes that the U.S. ended up meddling in their election. So all these videos are going to touch on the Russian, not really the war, but it's going to kind of do the war, but it got all to do with Russia. And with all this stuff that's going on crazy, I want to show it to you guys. So I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see what it is that we get into this video. Consider liking, subscribing. Make sure you watch everything so you can really understand where I'm getting at. Ukraine. Russia's space chief suggests ISS could crash into the US or Europe as a result of sanctions. Now, how is this going to crash in one of these two specific countries just because of these sanctions? Like, why this wouldn't just float out and just be floating? Or why it wouldn't hit that country or that country? Why these two countries that's sanctioned it might end up hitting one of them? Okay, let's get into it. Just by Ian Smith, and it's on 2/26/2022. The head of Roscosmos, the Russian space agency, has suggested that the International Space Station could fall out of orbit and crash into the United States or Europe as a result of sanctions on Russia. So now, Russia is sanctioned by the U.S. and Europe, right? This state language. You got to pay attention to this. Russia has been sanctioned by the U.S. and Europe, and they space station that's in outer space, it just might fall on one of them two countries as a result of the sanctions. So you got to look in between the lines with that. The comments came following U.S. President Joe Biden's announcement of new sanctions that will degrade Russia's aerospace industry, including their space program. It's Space Force, Google it. The announcement came following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. If you block cooperation with us, who will save the International Space Station from an uncontrolled deorbit and fall into the United States or Europe? Dmitry Rogozin, Director General of Roscosmos, said in a response on Twitter. So just because we sanction y'all money, you telling me it's a high chance that this space station might fall and hit our country because we sanction y'all. It ain't gonna hit no other country. It's gonna hit ours, right? That's what you're saying. Because that's what this thing like it's saying, and that's what it really is saying. Like, it's funny, but I know why they saying like it's gonna land on y'all. Like, y'all gotta understand it. He pointed out that the station's orbit and location in space are controlled by Russian-made engines. What do that? What? Just because it's controlled by Russian-made engines, is it gonna just make sure it go over there? Like, there's also a possibility of a 500-ton structure falling on India and China. Do you want to threaten them with such a prospect? The IS does not fly over Russia. Therefore, all the risks are yours. Are you ready for them? So what they said is, shit, we put this space station up there and we made sure when we put it in orbit, if it was to ever fall down, it'll never fall on our country. It's going to always fall on somebody else's country. So they did this on purpose. Now they saying, hey, it might fall on y'all country, might fall on that country. It's gonna fall on the country, but it ain't gonna be ours. Are you ready for those risks? They asked him a question. You ready for the risk? Basically, are you ready for what's gonna get ready to happen? Though dramatic, this is likely an idle threat due to both political consequences and the practical difficulty of getting Russia cosmonauts off the ISS safely. Ooh, said Dr. Wendy Whitman-Cobb, a professor of strategy and security studies at the School of Advanced Air and Space Studies. But I am concerned about how the invasion will affect the remaining years of the space station. So now these people up there on this space station, and these people need to get paid as well. But then I'm not understanding how it's just going to randomly just deorbit and fall, and people going to die, right? Because there's people on there. So I don't understand that. But what is NASA's response? 4 NASA astronauts, 2 Russian cosmonauts, and 1 European astronaut are currently on the space station. So let me say this again, so I can show you. 4 NASA astronauts, that's the U.S., 2 Russian cosmonauts, that's Russia, and 1 European astronaut, that's Europe, are currently on the space. So are they up there boxing? Boy, your country said what? Like, it's they boxing up there, because these is the countries that's into it down here. So now if it fall, it's gonna fall on somebody else's country, but it's just go all like, but all y'all people gonna be hurt. Like, You got to understand the language. I told you, they colleagues in the last video. All the astronauts up there on the space station doing whatever it is that they're doing. NASA said in the statement that it continues working with Roscosmos and our other international partners in Canada, Europe, and Japan to maintain safe and continuous ISS operations. The new export control measures will continue to allow U.S.-Russia civil space cooperation added. So even though we down here on the ground beefing, we still together up there in outer space trying to see what's really going on out there. You know, you get your info, I get my info, we share info. But when we hit the flow, you over there, I'm over here. But we work together up there in cooperation. So you got to understand, like I said, they're colleagues. In the media, they're quote unquote, like not really enemies, but they like, Russia just doing something the U.S. don't want them to do. And the U.S. is sanctioning them, but they whole time they working together, basically. No changes are planned to the agency's support for ongoing and orbit and ground station operations. So they on the ground working together too. The new export control measures will continue to allow U.S.-Russia civil space cooperation. They saying we still gonna be working together. Scott Pace, the director of the Space Policy Institute at George Washington University, told the Associated Press earlier this week that it's possible to imagine a break with Russia that would endanger the space station, but that would be at the level of a dropping diplomatic relations. I think that it get crazy because your people up there with each other. That would be something that would be an utterly last resort. So I don't really see that happening unless there is a wider military confrontation. So basically, if the U.S. and Russia actually start bumping heads, then that's when it's gonna get the bumping. The space station, an international partnership of 5 space agencies from 15 countries, including Canada, several countries in Europe, Japan, Russia, and the U.S. launched in 1998 and morphed into a complex that's almost as long as a football field with almost 13 kilometers of electrical wiring, an acre of solar panels, and 3 high-tech labs. What they up there doing? They got something going on up there. They got that many solar panels. They making sure they got energy. For the ISS to function, the Russian cosmonauts and other astronauts need to work as a team and cooperate. So see, they can't be beefing with each other. There have, however, been tensions toward the Russians in recent months after a Russian weapons test in November 2021 created more than 1,500 pieces of space junk that threatened the safety of 7 astronauts aboard the station. So maybe the Russians up there, they didn't, I don't know what they did, but they did something. I don't know what Russia. Look at this. Listen. After a Russian weapons test in November 2021 created more than 1,500 pieces of space junk that threatened the safety of the 7 astronauts aboard. So that means this weapons test happened out of space. That's what that's saying. This just happened in November. I just told you, November, they said, hey, y'all gonna need to be in Russia. Y'all Silicon Valley companies need to be in Russia by 2022. They got some form of weapon that they out there in space playing with, that the Russians is understanding something is up. So just understand that. All right, that's it. Yeah, so the Russians, hey, they out there in outer space, they still busting their guns out of space. They don't care. They got what they got going on. So once they, you just figured that out. That was November. Oh, okay. Y'all oligarchs got them loans already ready. Y'all got them. All right, okay. They go through that. All right, we finna go ahead and go through that. We finna go ahead and go through that. We got all this in order. We go ahead. We dropped a lot of our U.S. debt. We dropped all that. We ain't got none of their bonds like that. We got gold now because we trying to have a gold-backed currency because we know that they ass ain't got no gold over there. They just acting and they ass is pump faking. They ain't got none. And we know that. So we do this gold-backed motherfucking digital currency and they ass ain't got no gold. They ass ain't gonna be able to buy none of this digital currency. So they better go make some more guns and they better try to send this bitch up because they ain't got no bucks. They got bucks, but they ain't got no bucks. So Russia really talking crazy in this situation. That's why Russia really not. I'm gonna break it down to you like this. Let's say you're a man, or let's say you're a woman, no matter, man or a woman. And let's say your significant other, man or a woman, is broke. They don't have any money. You take them in, you help them get money, you give them some money, they finally get a job, they finally get up on their feet. What's the first thing you think they're gonna do rather than show you loyalty? They're gonna leave. What I'm saying is Russia was under not sanctioned, but Russia was doing what the U.S. was telling them to do, and they weren't doing nothing crazy. They were still independent, but they still weren't doing nothing too crazy because they know the U.S. told them no. Once they start seeing that, oh, we got our own power, we got our own income, and we can do what we want to do with our money. Now we can do what we really want to do and get wild. So that's what your significant other do when she walks out after you did all the stuff that you did for them, and then that's just how it goes. So I'm just breaking this down to our level because this is the country, but we the people. So that's what it is. That's all I gotta say for this video. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below if you learned something. Let me know if you feel something in this video that you want to go more in depth with. Make sure you guys check out the Mercy Papers. Hit me on the links in the down there. You see the link, that's my email, and you see the little list of the books. That's the Mercy Papers. Don't underestimate family, friends, lovers, enemies. Make sure you guys look objective. No matter what city, state, or country is in, every hood is the same. And nobody told you they love you today. I'm going to tell you guys right now that I love you because that's why I bring you guys this information, because I want you guys to prosper through the adversity that we all going in these trying times, when in reality in the 80s it was trying times, in the 70s it was trying. It was always trying times. You know, times are always trying because that's just seemed to be how it is in this world that we live in with the people that's running around doing the things that they're doing. So I bring you guys this information for you guys to see what's going on, because you may not be seeing it, but on this platform, you'll be able to see it. So I bring it to you for you to see it 3D, because I'm coming at you. You feel me? So I want you guys to have a good day. And that's all I got to say for this video. Like, share, subscribe. Duff.
This video is for educational and entertainment use only. The views in this video do not necessarily represent the views or life of Marlon Dixon.